Got you, coach. Yep. We'll start with you, Sarah.
Dang, this is bright.
Hey, Sean, do you have any updates on the injuries that came out of last night's game?
I do. So Kobe Durant got his toe. He'll be kind of day to day. Joe Noteboom has a high ankle sprain. So he'll probably be out for a few weeks. And then Puka got a PCL sprain, probably be a candidate to go to IR. And Steve Avila got an MCL sprain. He will be a candidate to go to IR as well.
We saw Kevin Dotson leaving the locker room in a boot yesterday. Did he get injured as well?
He had a little lateral sprain to his ankle. He'll be day to day though.
When you went back and watched the film, is there anything that stood out to you about what Cooper did last night?
I would, I'd say it just reiterates the way that I felt after the game. Gutsy, was all over the field, was what we needed just based on the circumstances. There was a lot of opportunities to be able to stretch people vertically, but the situation didn't enable that. And, I had 14 targets, did a good job competing without the ball, affected and influenced coverage. I think just his demeanor and disposition throughout the game, some of the things that he's doing in between series with the guys that did have to step up. You can't say enough about what he means to our football team. I thought he was excellent. He gave us a chance to be able to come away with a win.
And then when I looked at the running back snaps on offense, looks like Kyron got the bulk of the carries. Is that what you intended to do going into the game? And do you see that being the case going forward?
You know what? I think each game's going to be its own entity. It was a very unique circumstance because when we got so many of our linemen banged up, Sarah, and it limited some of the different, basically we didn't operate off anything that our game plan was. We had to truly just change in the middle of that game plan. So when there's some things that are unforeseen, you're going to go with guys that you trust and that I think the way that some of the drives unfolded, where there was long breaks in between, I think that's why you saw our running back and tight end rotation reflected as such. Colby Parkinson played 69 snaps. I believe Kyron played 71 when you look at it. So want to get Ronnie a little bit more involved, want to be able to get Blake involved as well. And then, Davis and Hunter got a few snaps, but based on how the game unfolded, it was very unique for a lot of different reasons. None of which probably suit what you guys are really looking for, but that was not how we anticipated the rotation to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, I know you're probably still working through it, but in terms of contingency plans, all of those positions that you talked about, first of all, would Kobe be a day-to-day, a week-to-week?
Yeah, he's day-to-day. He's day-to-day.
Okay. Yep. And then for Joe, who do you anticipate coming in at left tackle? And
that would be a question that I probably have a better answer for you. Just based on the availability of maybe some guys coming back, and then obviously we'll look to bring some bodies in as well.
And do you anticipate Rob Havenstein to come back this week?
I think we're going to take it a day at a time. So I don't want to put any unnecessary expectations on anything. So I think I'll have a better feel for that, just based on how he's continuing to progress, but he has made good progress.
Not to pepper you on this, but
That's okay.
With Bo Limmer, would you anticipate a full week at center for him in that regard?
I would. Yep. I thought he did a great job. He's answered the bell every time he's gotten opportunities, whether that was in the Texans joint practice, even having to step up in some of the situations against Dallas. And then yesterday, I was really pleased with him in that atmosphere, that environment, to handle it the way that he did. I wouldn't say that I was surprised though, based on what I've seen from him. But it was impressive, and yes, he will get some work moving forward, and I got a lot of confidence in Bo.
You talked a lot about yesterday about the lessons you guys learned collectively as a staff in 2022, and wondering, in terms of when you do have to change that significant amount of your game plan on the fly like this, what that process is like, what the communication infrastructure is like, and then also, has that changed since that time?
Yeah, where the hell do you want me to start with that one? That's a heavy question. Here's what I would say. The players' ability to come in, seamlessly adjust, be steady and even keeled. I think when you play a great team like that, you're down 17-3, and then to be able to reel off 17 straight to get to 20-17 with 4.5 left in the ball game, for us to get a stop, almost get a turnover, and then to be able to, get a first down, and then you're just a couple, just a little bit away from converting. I'm really proud of this group. There's some opportunities that they earned to even be in those positions. I mean, what a play by John Johnson. When we're down 4, they're going in to potentially take a 2-possession lead to get the turnover. And then Matthew goes 8 for 8 on the next drive to take the lead 20-17. We get a stop. We get the ball back with about 4.5. And man, you just want to be able to run the clock out. And man, we had some opportunities. We had some penalties that moved us back. We had a chance on the 3rd down. Matthew makes an incredible throw on the 3rd down play to DeMarcus, but here's what I would tell you. Guys were just in the moment, Jordan. And that's the same thing with us as coaches. I was really proud of the way that the guys just stayed in the moment, both offensively, defensively, and in the kicking game. They were able to adjust and adapt based on some of the new personnel changes. And we gave ourselves a chance. And I was proud of that. Now, do we want to come away with the result we're hunting up? Of course. But when we really talk about progressing and focusing on the things that we can control, there was a lot of things that we can't control based on what went down last night that I can be proud of, and I can say that we're moving in the right direction. It doesn't mean that you don't want to come away with the result, but whether we finished it or whether we didn't, it's about how we move forward. Our fluidity and flexibility is going to be key and critical. And I'll tell you what we're not going to do is we're not going to sulk. We're not going to say, why is me? We're going to get the next guy ready to go. We're going to get some new bodies in here, and then we'll be grateful when we do get those guys that are injured back. But the league, it continues to move, and it's a thankless deal with some of these injuries, and it is unfortunate. And I feel for the players that are getting injured, but you're not going to see any pity from me, in terms of, I feel bad and want to support the players, but there's not going to be any excuses for us not to move forward the right way, because I've gone down that road before and we're not doing that again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gary.
Sean, you said Puka was a candidate to go on IR. Is he going to go? You're going to place him on injury?
That's most likely, yes.
What would be a determination that would, have you decide not to do that? I mean, why would you not do that?
Well, since you're so specific with my words, he's going to go to IR, Gary. How's that for you?
Okay, thanks. just want to be clear.
No, you are. I'm joking, but yes, there's always possibilities. It's probably not likely that he would not go to IR because his injury is going to keep him out for more than a month. So that is the most likely route. Now, when you only have 8 throughout the year and you're talking about already being on maybe 6 of these in week 1, that'd be maybe why you wouldn't do it if you wanted to hold a spot, but that's the most likely direction that we would go.
Is this a completely new injury, or
it's a re-aggravation of the same injury, just a little bit more significant than what was previously the situation?
And then, last year you didn't, with Cooper was hurt and Puka, of course, exploded. This year, it looked like you had them both healthy and, ready to go. How frustrating is it for you not to be able to, keep both of them out there and, at 100%?
Yeah, I feel for Puka, Gary, because when he finds out the news and how much it means to him to be out there for his teammates and to go compete, and how much work he's even put in to get himself back to the position he was last night. And you can see he's an impact player. He gets 4 targets. He has 4 catches for almost 50 yards. He has a jet sweep. He does stuff in the run game. He's a factor. He just is one of those guys that just makes a difference, And so it's unfortunate for him. And I'm bummed out for the person, more importantly. And then, yeah, of course, you wish that you had him out there. I was really proud of Tyler Johnson. I thought Jordan Whittington came in and did some nice things. We know that we've got a guy in Tutu Atwell that'll be able to step in and do some different things. And so, unfortunately or fortunately, the difference between last year is because Cooper was out the majority of the time, you've got some continuity with that group. This is a little bit different, but we've got some depth. I think more importantly, to answer your question, I feel for Puka. And then these other guys will get some opportunities that I'm confident they'll step up and play good football for us.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Stu.
Hey, Sean, depending on how this week goes for Kevin, what could that potentially mean for somebody like Logan Bruss and the role he could have?
Well, I'm hopeful that K Dot's going to be good, but Logan's done a great job, Stu. He's improved. He's shown that he can compete on both sides at the guard position. I think he's really found his best position at the guard spot, and so I am confident in him if he does have to play based on his body of work throughout the offseason and into training camp.
And then how much do you guys as a coaching staff lean on Matthew? I mean, it's again, as much of a collaborative process as it is amongst yourselves with, dealing with the injuries on the offensive line and figuring out what works best from a game plan and play call standpoint.
Well, I mean, it's certainly everything that you think of is with him in mind first. I think that's the most important position, but I want him to be able to do his job. Certainly his input is incredibly valuable and beneficial, but he's got enough stuff that he's got to manage. I think it's my job and our job as coaches, to be able to adjust and adapt. And he did a great job of playing within the confines of what the situation dictated yesterday. He gave us a chance to be in that game. Without him, I think it would have been a much different narrative. And so that's a credit to how important he is. But ultimately, we're always going to do what we think is best for the football team, and that includes Matthew. And I think he knows that. And if he ever had any sort of issues with what we were doing, then we would obviously talk through that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Adam.
Hey, Sean. I know Steve's been kind of an Iron Man dating back to his college days. Like, when did that injury occur? Was he trying to play through it at the end of the first half?
Yeah, he was. Well, he did play through the half, and then they tell me he's going to be out for a handful of weeks, and then the first play of the first half or the second half, he's out there. We had to yank him out, and so it's a credit to how much he wants to be out there. So I think that's a positive problem, but definitely got Reggie Scott worked up. But it shows you how tough Steve is. It's unfortunate, and it's one of those deals that again, similar to Puka, any of these guys that we're talking about, they put so much time and effort in at him, and you want to see them be able to see the fruits of their labor pay off. And that's probably the worst part of this job, is seeing the injuries and some of the unforeseen circumstances or things that are outside of your control prevent them from being able to do that. But what he will do is, based on whatever that treatment plan is we decide on, he's going to attack his rehab, and he'll be back at some point this season, which we're optimistic about.
And it sounds like you don't think Joe is a guy that could possibly go on IR.
I wouldn't say that. I know the other two are. It's very likely that we're going to put those other two on IR. Joe with his ankle sprain, depending upon the severity of it, once we find out a little bit more, he could be a candidate for that as well. But those other two are much more likely than he is as of right now. But they all three could possibly be in that boat.
And to just deviate from the injuries for a second, I'm curious if you could go into the thought process with the kickoff and deciding to kick it out of the end zone.
I just think the unforeseen, I think knowing that there's not as many layers in the coverage, there's possible vertical seams. I think we felt like, the confidence that we did have in our defense to put the ball on the 30, and it was more about just a lot of the unforeseen consequences. I wasn't truly surprised that was kind of the approach from the league, Adam. There was obviously a lot of discussions that I was kind of involved in with just some of the different competition. I'm combining words now. The competition committee stuff, but that was kind of the approach, was just not really knowing, and felt like that was the smart thing for us.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Nick.
Hey, Coach. Specifically in the second half, you guys really outplayed the Detroit Lions leading into the overtime period. Specifically for you, what did you see that was very encouraging in that second half that you can take and build on that heading into the Arizona Cardinals game this coming Sunday?
Yeah, I love that question, Nick. Resilience, grit, down 17-3, going on a 17-point run was big. I thought we were able to, convert some third downs, finish in the red area offensively. Obviously, the one penalty where our touchdown got called back was an absolute killer. We cannot do that there, but I was just proud of the fight. I thought there was good complementary football on display too. They're going in to potentially go up 2 possessions when it's a 17-13 game. John Johnson makes an unbelievable bang pick, with Amon-Ra over the middle, being able to play off of Jared's eyes. And then Matthew goes 8 for 8 on that next drive to be able to put us in front. 20-17. So I just thought grit, competitiveness, toughness, overall effort, the ability to be able to play the next snap. And while we did come up short, those were the things that I was proud of. And that's an excellent football team. You know, I thought, you know, when I look at them, they are as advertised. They're really well coached. They've got great personnel. They do a good job mixing it up on both sides. They're really efficient in the kicking game. And I thought our defense battled through some really tough looks. I thought our offense battled through some, you know, unforeseen circumstances relative to, you know, what we had to adjust and adapt to up front and some of the things that they did. And, you know, and we competed, and I think we can come away with no regrets, even though we came up short. And now it's about how we move forward, you know, and that's the important thing. And I'll be glad once I get done with, you know, this with you guys and the coaches show, so that I can put this game behind me too and start to prepare for Arizona with the right spirit and mindset.
You also spoke about the defense and the battle that they had, and specifically, what did you see out of Jerry Verse? Obviously, getting his first NFL regular season career sack, but what did you see out of Jerry Verse as far as just his comfort level, his ability to focus, his ability to continue to be a part of that defensive group to be effective?
Yeah, I think all those things you mentioned, I think that's been consistent with what we've seen from him in these practice settings. He's a violent, physical player. He understands the game. Certain guys just have a knack for being able to show up and make plays. Even just you look at a couple of his first snaps, you know, just as a Ram in their first series, when you force him to go 3 and out, and what he does on the first down where he's reading out of it to be able to come off and make the tackle. Some of the different ways he's able to push the pocket and then being able to win on the end of the half sack that you mentioned, Nick. He's as advertised. I think he'll continue to only grow and get better. I thought Joe Caniglio did a great job really with that outside backer group as a whole, being really productive for us. And I think you give Detroit's offense a ton of credit. They've got all the things you're looking for. They've got great personnel, great scheme. They're really good on the offensive line. They've got great skill players and the quarterback that knows what's going on. So, you know, you're checking all the boxes to be a really special offense. And I thought, you know, we competed well against a great outfit, and they made some plays, and so did we. And that's what happens when you go against a really good team like that.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Wyatt.
Hey, Sean. What was your evaluation of the inside backer group, you know, Troy Reeder and Christian Roseboom specifically against the really physical run game?
Yeah, I thought they did a good job. You know, I think the rushing, if you just look at the stats, they'll be skewed because of the amount of yards that they ended up churning out in the overtime period on that 8-play drive. But I thought Reeder, I thought he had really good communication. I thought Roseboom played sideline to sideline. Greg Money Williams does a great job with that group. I was really proud of the way that those guys played. I thought we tackled pretty well at the point of attack, with the exception of some broken tackles that Montgomery had in that overtime drive. But overall, I was pleased with both Reeder and Roseboom. They played a lot of snaps, and they were productive and did a great job with their communication as well.
And obviously, you guys had a lot of pre-snap motion, which is nothing new for your offense, but specifically against a Lions defense that's really physical and aggressive. What kind of information and what kind of value does that hold in terms of you know, just Stafford gleaning knowledge of the coverage and other things like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons that we do that. You know, and there was a lot of things that we weren't able to do just based on some of the situations. So I thought we did a good job being able to use it. I think you got to be able to pick and choose, but because we were forced out of so many of the different things, but ultimately our guys did a nice job of using motion to be able to gain an advantage, whether it was information wise or leverage wise or some of the different things that we're trying to do in the run game. That'll always be a staple, that there's an intent behind why we're trying to do it. And it takes selfless players to be able to execute it at a high level.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll wrap with Maria, then Eric.
Hey, Sean, a couple of weeks ago, you had talked to us about the defense and what you saw in the defense. And just reflecting on John Johnson, he is not only, or seems to be, the right fit for this team. You've seen him grow over the years. Can you touch upon that and just how important it is for him to have that leadership now?
Yeah, it's important, Maria. He's been a guy that obviously, we drafted him in 2017, with the exception of when he left us for the Browns for a little bit of time. It's been great having JJ back. I thought he hit his stride really at the right time last year when we kind of went on a little run. We were able to get him in at the beginning of training camp this year. And so his ownership is understanding, certain guys just have a really good feel for the game, Maria. And certainly JJ is one of those guys. I think he's a great close quarter tackler. I think he really is so smart, big picture wise, that he understands what route concepts are accompanied with the quarterback's drops. Where are his eyes? What are they trying to attack? The pick that he made was a great play, but it was a great play combining physical and mental tools based on, what he was looking at and seeing from Jared in the route concept and then the coverage call we were in. So I thought he played really well. He played almost 40 snaps. And I think that that trio of players with him, with Cam Curl and with Quentin Lake's ability to be able to play star or safety. And then you got young guy Cam Kitchens a couple snaps as well, which he'll learn. I thought he took a good angle. He's just got to keep his head out of the tackle, but I was really pleased with JJ.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coach, it appeared that with how the game unfolded with injuries along the offensive line, you particularly started to have success specifically with duo and outside zone blocking schemes. Was that the case, and how important is technical versatility along the offensive line?
Yeah, it's really important, and we got a couple things off run wise. We didn't get a lot of things off that the situations definitely dictated a different response. But I thought when we did, we got tough, hard-earned yards. There were some different things that we do need to be able to handle better, but I thought Kyron ran really hard. Obviously, Ronnie had a couple tough runs. And then, the guys competed to the best of their ability. There was a lot of moving parts, like we said, and that's a physical outfit. Coach Glenn does a great job being able to mix it up. I got a lot of respect for their personnel and their scheme, and they did some different things that I thought, we kind of were ready. We were able to adjust, but there's always going to be some learning ops, both coaches and players alike, and hopefully we'll apply that the right way moving forward this week.
And then the defensive line displayed tremendous grit, but it seemed that they wore down as the game progressed. Considering the injuries along the offensive line, how crucial is it to win time of possession and keep the defense fresh moving forward?
Yeah, it is. It's crucial, and it's unfortunate, when a game comes down to that and, you lose a coin toss and you don't get a chance to see the ball offensively, but our guys played hard. When that sequence where they ended up forcing them to go 3 and out a handful of times in the second half, we're not getting back in that game or taking the lead without the contributions from the defense. And again, you got to give Detroit's offense credit. They start off with a round, it was a similar one that they had run to Jamison Williams earlier. They just dressed it up differently. It was a good call. They end up getting a first down there. Then Montgomery makes an unbelievable run to break some tackles. And so when those things occur, it can kind of come in bunches. They get a little bit of momentum. And when they're coming off the ball and getting that vertical removal, and those things can happen against a really good offense. But I was pretty much, I was proud. Obviously, I know our guys, the standards they have for themselves, they're going to want to be better in that period, and we expect that. But I can't say enough about them keeping us in that game relative to the way that it unfolded, just based on the ebbs and flows, really from the first to the fourth quarter. And then that 8-play sequence was a tough way to end it, but doesn't take away from the totality of, the way that I evaluate it for our guys.
And then when Cooper was injured last year, Puka really emerged as a standout player. Now that Puka is sidelined, what opportunities does this create for Jordan to compensate for Puka's absence?
Well, I think it creates some opportunities for some other guys, whether that's, Tyler Johnson capitalized last night, certainly Jordan Whittington. Tutu Atwell's a guy that's played a lot of meaningful snaps for us. And so, we'll see. That'll be something that, if I'm not fielding 1,000 questions, then I'll be able to start working on that. I'm just kidding. But we'll see. I got a ton of confidence in Jordan Whittington. He's a man's man. Thought Tyler Johnson, what a play that he made on the shallow that he turns into a 60-plus yard play. And so, we'll see how that receiver rotation unfolds. But we've got a lot of guys that we do have confidence in, and they'll be ready to go. I promise you that.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
You got it, man.
That's it, Coach. Thank you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Matt.